Alright, here goes the Lust Bowl. We're gonna Iron Bark the tank here as he goes in. We're not gonna use any heals because we'll get aggro on everything. While he's Iron Barks, we're gonna pop our Trinket, we're gonna go into Balance Form, we're gonna pop our cooldowns, and I'm gonna Convoke for damage. Just to help kill all this stuff. And then we'll go right back into healing mode. Just health pot, just to keep myself up. Vortex down for all the Spitefuls. Well, everyone's remembering that it's Spiteful week. Why we picked 3 range. Alright, now I go back to doing some damage. Easy first pull. This is why we took double hunters, just so everything fucking dies on Fortified. Hots on the tank here. Goodbye, my little friend. Gonna use Flourish just to top us up. These Dark Lashes hurt a lot. I'm only gonna refresh dots here, and then I'm just gonna make sure I'm prioritizing, like, just keeping us all topped off, just because the random damage that can go out. It's too risky to do anything else like that right there. Like, if I was in balance form, like, I would have just died 100%. Vortex down for the spirits. For the Spiteful Shades. Good old Spiteful Shade deaths. Just gonna drink a little bit while they start the pull. And then we'll Iron Bark the tank, put a couple hots on him. And then I'm gonna try to Convoke for damage here again real quick. We'll go back to healing the tank. Vortex down for the shades.
You think yourself exceptional, gifted, but you will learn humility.
Wild Growth and Flourish here, and then get a chance to refresh my dots. Just a tiny bit of damage when I can. Do some more damage. I'll just go ahead and Trank too, because the Pride still has 25% HP, so we'll go ahead and Trank just to be safe, because people are going to be taking a lot of damage here. Oh, that actually clipped me. That's really unfortunate. And he took forever to kill. I'm just gonna B-res here. Questionably worth it. Sure, the tank's topped off here. Made this mistake in the last video I made, and we're not gonna make it again. Spell. Heal the other guy. Put dots on the boss. almost got hit by that. That was spooky. And when the boss flies up in the air like this is when we just go like full DPS mode, because there's almost no healing to do. The tank isn't going to be taking any damage. We're going to come over here and kill these lions, and then we turn around and go the other way. I'm going to trust that the tank will survive because he has his breath up, so we're going to assume that he's going to use that. Looks like he's not. He's probably waiting to group all of them up, so we'll just go ahead and heal him. There he goes. Throw down a couple hots. I'll just use Flourish here because we have nothing else to use it on. And then that way I can do some damage while Flourish kind of keeps the hots active on him so that I don't have to refresh them as soon. And we'll put Vortex down just to keep these nice and grouped up. I'll stay nice and grouped up, but that's okay. Let's typhoon them back into the hunter's stuff on the ground. Tank's probably just gonna full run away. Still put some hots on him just in case. And then this thing is still like full HP right here, the spray tour, so we're just gonna convoke for damage here. For the wild too, just to do some extra damage and help kill the spitefuls. Ooh, there's a full moon on the spitefuls, feel good. Feels good. Typhoon them back. Sorry, I'll read chat as much as I can, but I do want to try hard for the score. Just gonna LOS this stuff. Okay, that does not LOS it. I have to LOS it over here, it looks like. How come so many of the MDI timed runs had a disc priest? It's because of two things. It's because none of the, like, the Venthyr dungeons, so like the MDI had, I think they were running Halls of Atonement. They wanted Venthyr for the Halls of Atonement, and then also Power Infusion is like absolutely a must-have on fortified keys. So Power Infusion is just really strong for MDI because you just throw it on the hunter. And then I think besides that, it's really just the Venthyr thing. And then Disc Priest is just overall like a good spec to have. Especially because they're doing lower keys than they're used to on live, so they don't need like the extra healing that maybe a Resto Druid or Resto Shaman provides. And they're getting the lust from a mage, so they just use Priest to be able to cover like the Covenant that no one has, and then they also use the Priest to I mean, Priest just does, you know, more damage than like a Resto Shaman, for instance. So it's probably better in lower keys. So, the damage they bring being Venthyr, and other than that, I'm not sure. Like, that's something that they, you know, those teams would have to answer. I can't think of other reasons. But, oh yeah, Power Infusion. That was like the big one. I think Power Infusion is like one of the primary reasons. No, most priests would run Venthyr still. Pretty much in any high keys right now, like the best healers are the ones that can play Venthyr, because Venthyr is like the only Covenant that almost no good DPS or meta like tanks run and stuff like that, so it just makes more sense if you play a healer that can also play Venthyr. Then you can cover that weakness in your group. There's even a Resto Druid right now on like the top 3 leaderboard, I think, for Resto Druids in M+, that's a Venthyr. So it's literally just covering the Covenant that your team doesn't have. And actually all the highest Disc Priests in the world right now for M+ are, I think, all playing Venthyr. I think there's only a couple Kyrians in like the top 10. So even though it's better, it's just your tank runs Kyrian, so there's no point to really have like 2 Kyrians except for Necrotic Wake. Like the only dungeon where you want 2 carrions, I think. Flourish here. This is getting a little spooky, so I'm gonna life them myself because the tank doesn't need it. And I'm gonna also use my trinket on the Prideful just to get the extra crit chance. And then I'm gonna just innervate and trank because I don't think I had enough. Please move. Thank you. And then we just trank for the rest of it. Okay, and then we can just run across here. We don't actually have to take the angel. We just jump, and then this picks us up and throws us right here a little faster. What's my favorite M+ healer? My favorite M+ healer is probably Resto Druid or Resto Shaman. I just like the amount of like versatility and utility that they have. Spell this guy, God. I like how many, like, oh my gosh, that vortex, why? I enjoy how many abilities I have. Like, I have so many buttons to press, so many things to do as a Resto Druid, like, so many things to think about. Same thing as Resto Shaman. Like, there's just so much I can do constantly that there's never, like, this downtime where I feel like I'm just super bored and just kind of waiting for my team to kill the pack. And why am I running Cultivation and Flourish instead of Soul of the Forest? God, dude, this shit hurts. Instead of Soul of the Forest and Cultivation, or no, sorry, and Photosynthesis, is because, so Cultivation I'm mostly just playing around with and testing it. I am finding that it's actually like pretty good. I like Soul of the Forest for burst healing, but I'm finding that like the passive healing that you get from, man, we're just dying here, aren't we? Passive healing you get from Cultivation like actually is really, really strong just on the tank. Like it's up so much. I was watching J.B's stream and he had like it accounted for like 12% of all his healing done in a high key, and I was just like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I've been playing around with it, so I'm still not sure what I like what better. So it's mostly just play testing. And then I run Flourish because it allows me to play, it allows me to use my Convokes offensively rather than defensively. So I can, instead of using Convoke to heal the group, I can use Convoke for damage in Balance Affinity. And if you don't have Flourish in a high key, you pretty much have to use Convoke for things like Prideful. Oh, this was a mistake. Just gonna Cyclone this thing. But yeah, like Flourish allows me to use Convoke offensively. That's pretty much it. If you don't have Flourish, you pretty much shouldn't be running Balance Affinity as far as I'm aware. You should be running Feral Affinity, because if you're not getting Convokes off like non-stop for damage as Balance Affinity, it's just not worth it. So that's what makes Balance Affinity strong, is Convoke for damage. I think a lot of disc utility comes in the form of like Shackle Undead is a broken spell if you learn how to use it properly in the right dungeons. And then also Master Spell is super, super strong. And they also have a conduit that reduces like the mana cost of their dispels, which is actually huge on like big tyrannical keys and stuff where you're going to be fighting a boss for like 4+ minutes and you have to dispel some kind of debuff. Save so much mana from it. And then other than that, yeah, a lot of their utility just comes from like being able to do damage and apply shields and stuff before damage goes out. But they definitely don't have the utility kit of like a Druid or a Resto Shaman, but that's kind of the pros and cons of those classes. Ouchie, ouchie. And push those back into the Hunter's Wild Spirits. And then we'll Ironbark our friend here in just a second so that he doesn't die. Refresh our Hots. Put down our Spring Blossoms. We're gonna save Flourish here instead of using it on the tank and then like doing damage like we normally do. And that's for the Prideful. And then we'll just use Convoke offensively on the Prideful just to kill it faster. At least that is the game plan. I'm gonna use Innervate here because I'm already like running low on mana and Prideful's about to spawn, so that I can just kind of spam heal the tank. This is looking pretty spicy. Typhoon those back. Give our group some breathing room. We'll move up the stairs a little bit to give some breathing room. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some regrowths here. Go ahead and flourish. Go ahead and pop our trinket, which we already did. Convoke offensively. Here we go. And I'll just do a little bit more damage. Refresh the Sunfire, Wild Growth, and Trank. Oh, I've been in Wild Growth. I was in Balance still. Oh well, that's fine. There's Wild Growth after the Trank. Yeah, if you're using Convoke defensively, like, by no means is that the wrong choice. Like, it's still totally fine. Convoke is an insanely powerful heal. It's just you probably shouldn't be running Balance Affinity if you are. You should be running Feral Affinity if you want to try to do some damage, because you're going to do way more damage in Feral Affinity. You only do more damage in Balance Affinity if you're using Convoke, like, on cooldown offensively. Feral is just, like, the way better option for damage. Yeah, we're using one of the spears here, so we'll do some damage. I actually like that cleanses don't all remove the same things, because that provides, again, like, additional benefit to certain healers being better than others in certain situations, and I'm a fan of that personally. I mean, I am a multi-classer, so maybe that's why I have a bias towards it, but I enjoy that there's more unique things about every healer than just what buttons they press. I like that a lot of the healers have the same buttons, but they do, you know, different things in different ways. It's just helps bring about some diversity in the class choices and stuff. But I totally understand what you mean. But that's why there's other classes that can help cover you too, right? Like if you're playing a priest and don't have a poison dispel, you just make sure you bring a druid, you know, a druid or a monk, and then they can cover, or like a paladin, and they can cover your poison dispels for you. So. Just gonna cyclone this thing because it's aggro to me. Keep cycloning this thing since the squad leader's alive anyways, so it's not gonna take any damage. And now we'll let it go. And we're gonna try to convoke for damage here. Gonna dispel. Refresh dots. Just gonna cyclone that for now because I don't know if we want to kill it yet. Seal the tank. Like balance for Typhoon, yeah, I definitely understand why that utility would be useful. And DPS definitely isn't like required for keys, so you don't have to be taking the affinity that's doing the most damage. But if you do want to do the most damage, you pretty much go Feral Affinity unless you're gonna use Flourish and stuff like that for Convoke. I'm gonna start by doing some damage here. do you want me to grab that weapon? What does that do? I've actually never even seen that. Oh, do I have a buff? Is that what it does? Gonna flourish here. Press wild growth again. Spam some regrowths. And then we'll go ahead and shrink. See, I have to do like weapon attacks. I have to literally hit this thing. It's not very useful. I shouldn't have done that. I just literally killed the whole group. Okay. Really big waste of bark skin and iron bark, but oh well. This boss should die pretty easily. Hopefully. Gonna convoke for damage as soon as I can. Okay, convoking for damage. Just gonna throw one more Star Surge out and then we'll start healing. And basically just whoever the boss Dark Strides on, so there it went on max H, so we're just gonna throw Life Bloom on him, gonna throw all our hots on him, put F-Low under him, like we're literally just making sure that he is getting by far the most healing in the entire group and has every single available hot on him. And then it easily covers the damage over time. And we're gonna just make sure that he's topped off, because if he gets hit by one of these, he's just gonna insta-die, so... And I don't trust anybody in a pug. Hardly trust myself. And then we're just gonna make sure we don't die to it. Got hit by it again. Yep, there it goes. That hurts. We'll probably save the beat res. The spots where we're putting these is actually awful. Anything.
Witness radiance. I have failed.
Yeah, the boss feels absolutely awful most of the time. This trash actually hurts so bad. I'm gonna try to invoke for damage real quick if we have time. I don't have time to press Star Surge, but that's okay. Ooh, I almost didn't re-stealth and walked into that pack. That would have been really awful. I'm gonna use Bark Skin here because this can get really spooky really fast. And then I'll also just Flourish just to make sure, just in case if anybody gets hit by any damage. I'll walk away from these shades. And now this other pack we'll probably use Trank for. Just gonna throw out a Wild Growth and then Trank. And again, we're just doing this just to be safe, like, not really any other reason. Oof. If you fade, will that keep mobs from jumping to you? No, it will not. You have to, like, completely lose combat. You either have to not be in combat with them, or you have to, like, use an invisibility. You can't... Yeah, fade just reduces your threat. It doesn't actually make them not jump on you, as far as I'm aware. Gonna Iron Bark the tank so that we can do damage here. We pop our cooldowns. We use Bark Skin on ourselves for this because it's gonna hurt a lot. I'm gonna go back to doing some damage. Yeah, the Ursul's Vortex is such a nice spell. Same thing as the last boss. Whoever gets hit by that Purifying Blast, we are just healing them as much as possible, pretty much. Besides Life Bloom, we can put that on the tank. The tank actually takes a decent amount of damage in this fight. Health pot, that was a little spooky. I'm gonna Flourish here because there's not really any other part of the fight where I want to use it, so we're gonna be immuning the orbs anyways. I wish we'd, I guess it doesn't matter. Out damage where I can, but healing's the priority here because we only have 1 B res and we really want to save it. Just gonna Bark Skin him so that we can do as much damage as possible to this boss during this time because it takes double damage. We have plenty of mana to burn through here, so I'm just gonna keep the group topped off. Refresh dots on the boss, and that's it.
None may stand against the Paragon.
Yeah, I can try to explain the ads up above while we're killing them. Okay, so first angel throws these charged spears. They target random players. The spear drops on the floor, and then wherever the spear is facing out of the ground, like right here, it's gonna shoot in like a cross pattern out from the spear. And like right there, the mage just got hit. So you can always tell where the cross is gonna go by like where the spear is facing. So right here, like it's gonna go like that. This one's gonna go like that. And we just make sure that we're not in the cross, because if you're in the cross, you basically get one shot, and there's no avoiding it. And then every time you kill one of these, they add their abilities to the next mob. So this guy is now going to throw charged spears like the first one. And then... Hold on, I gotta make sure I'm not going to die here. And then his new ability is that he applies a stacking damage taken increase on everybody in the group. So like right now you can see we're at 12% extra damage taken. And that's all he does. So now we just make sure, you know, double... that we don't get hit by the spears, because if we get hit by the spears, then we're dying. I don't know why they're still on the ground. I think we just pulled too soon. These two that are active, so that's the only two we have to watch out for. And they always shoot in the same pattern, so like once you find the one safe spot, you don't have to move anymore. Like you just stand still until a new one spawns, and then you just need to be watching. Like I'm gonna watch where this one goes just to make sure I'm not in the way, and we're not. So, oh boy. They both released too. It's really unfortunate. I don't know why they would release. If you don't see it, you might just need to turn on projected textures in your settings. It's in the graphics settings. Just make sure, is that what it's called? I have to double check. Remind me after this dungeon and I'll check what it's called, just to make sure. Okay, and then this last guy's gonna have these two abilities stacked up on top of him, plus he's gonna just do passive AoE damage to the entire group that stacks up over time. So he is like by far the most challenging one. And we have no mana going into it, so that is extra unfortunate. Just gonna make sure that he dies as fast as possible. We'll also use Convoke on him. Yeah, this one is definitely the spookiest. Cool, we killed him fast enough, that's good. And now we kill Prideful.
You think yourself exceptional. Gift.
Is this the optimal kill orders? Yes, it's always left to right. You should always kill them left to right. I think the other option is like middle, left, right, but as long as you kill the right one last, which the right one being the one that we killed last over here, then you're good. I'm going to Trank early here, and then we'll just use a Flourish after the Trank expires. We'll do a Wild Growth into Flourish. We get the Trank and the Wild Growth extended. And we'll just top off the group. We're really not fighting for time here. This boss is going to die so fast, so we really just need to keep the group alive and we time the key. We get infinite mana from the Prideful. Do a little bit of damage on pull. Get close to the zone a little early.
This spear shall pierce your heart.
Just gonna dispel the other DPS. Now I can like handle myself in terms of HP. And I have Bark Skin rolling from that detonation. And then we'll just dispel myself second. We do still need to push for time here just to be safe, so I'm gonna just make sure I'm refreshing my dots on the boss like on cooldown, or you know, as soon as they can be refreshed. That's really my only priority. And then once we get back from the phase transition, I'll use Convoke to do damage probably. Might actually use it for healing here, I will see. Depends how it goes. Use Savage Roar to help out. We'll run and grab this other orb if we need to. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely Convoke for healing here. This shit hurts. I'm gonna try to save Flourish. I really don't want to use Flourish right now because we're gonna want that for the next phase.
I will strike you down.
Also save my little crit trinket for like right before she goes up in the air. So then we have like that crit buff going into the intermission and can heal our group with it. Spell tank. Throw down that flow in here. Use Bark Skin just to help with the damage. And then now we're gonna use our trinket on her. So we get that crit buff going into here. Go ahead and just innervate ourselves, wild growth before everybody splits up. Throw out some heals, and then grab this orb. If I can.
Mortals, take up my spear.
Spell myself, wild growth. Take your time, buddy, don't miss. Spell somebody. Wild growth, flourish here.
This spear shall pierce your
And that is it. An easy time to warm up key 17. Oh, it's Jordan. What's up, dude? How's it going?
no.
Impressive, I suppose.
Must
Still, I do
Did it.
and